Crisco Kid.
Resurrection Sunday, Easter Sunday, however the term you would like to address today's holiday. But I thought my next guest would be perfect for a conversation today because as the world, as the country is coming out of the COVID-19 quarantines and the pandemic, we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I have the Crisco Kid book party. And so we've been picking up a lot of cool books along the way. And when the opportunity came to talk to Dr. Sheryl Ziegler about mommy burnout, I had to jump on that because now is the time, as if you're Christian, you believe in the resurrection today. And I want to talk to the moms. I don't care what your religion is, about resurrecting the powerful mom that lies inside each and every one of you. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I can't wait to talk about this.
So first of all, we'll just start with what is mommy burnout? I think people have kind of heard the term burnout before, but when it comes to addressing moms specifically, describe mommy burnout.
Yes. So burnout is the physical and emotional exhaustion that you have from any job that you do. And when I was looking at what was happening with moms, what that looks like in moms is when you're irritable, you're snappy, you're looking forward to your wine a little too much, maybe have a loss of interest in sex, you don't spend as much time with your friends, you avoid people, maybe you just stay behind technology, you're tired all the time. So it's like this exhaustion that takes over all these parts of your life. And I saw that with all these moms that I was working with, so I had to give it a name.
On your website, you actually have a quiz that moms can take to see if they may be, is the term suffering from mommy burnout or experiencing mommy burnout? What would you say?
That's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. I think you're suffering and experiencing. I think it is suffering. And sometimes you don't know it though, because we accept it. We accept that this is just the way it is to be a mom. And I am here to say, I don't think it has to be that way.
Right. I guess some of the symptoms, and this is according to the website, I hope you don't mind. I printed some of the kind of questions out as we go through. And actually on your website, by the way, it is drSherylZiegler.com, and you can take the test. And question number 1, do you have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? And you can kind of go from there. I guess you also talk about, would you rather be on social media versus interacting with things going on in your real life? Because maybe social media might be more, quote unquote, interesting to yourself and other people, correct?
That's so true. I mean, just think about it. If you're having a bad day and I just send you a text and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? How are you? You can reply with saying anything you want. You could send me any emoji. You could send me sunshine and rainbows, right? But if I call you, or if I see you and I say, hey, how are you? I'm going to know how you are. You can't fake me, right? I could see it in your eyes. I could see it in your body language, but that's what we do. We just sort of stay behind the technology. So that way people don't really see us and really see what's going on with us.
So if someone has kind of identified and they're listening right now, like, man, maybe I have been experiencing or suffering mommy burnout, what are some things that, besides reading the book, what are some things that maybe they can do starting right now, this moment, this Sunday, and moving things forward and turning it around?
That's a great question. I mean, I think the first thing that moms need to realize is that connection is the antidote to isolation, loneliness, the symptoms of burnout, some symptoms of depression. You have to reach out to other people. And I know we're still, like you said, we're seeing the light with this pandemic, but we're not out of it. And so some people are still completely staying at home. Some people can't see their loved ones. Some people can't get on a plane and fly somewhere. There's a lot of different circumstances right now, but reach out, use technology as much as you can, have real phone conversations with people, schedule a Zoom. It's not as good as being in person, but if you can't be in person with somebody, say, I'm going to make that commitment. I know for me, when I have a great phone conversation or I've done some group Zooms, I feel so happy afterwards. I'm just smiling. I've laughed the way I haven't laughed maybe all week or all month even, because I connected with people. So that's really the number one thing, is connection. And I would say right now, the second thing would probably be to just watch how much you are kind of tuning out from your kids, tuning out from your partner or your spouse? How much are you just scrolling, right? And I think we all do it. I scroll mindlessly sometimes too, but I really try to limit it. It's like, yeah, I'm tired and I don't feel like doing much of anything but scrolling, but I limit that a lot because I could find myself down a rabbit hole. I was told a story this week. I was like scrolling on Instagram and I was seeing the way people decorated their houses for Easter. And all of a sudden, within 5 minutes, I felt like crap about my house, the way I decorated. Should I have done more? And it was like, wait, no. I have to stop, right? Or I'm going to go down this rabbit hole and it's not good for me.
So, as you're talking, I'm thinking about the old movie, Sex and the City Part 2. I know a grown man thinking about Sex and the City Part 2 is not necessarily what you, now that I'm saying it out loud, why am I saying this?
Because we're talking about women and moms and we all love Sex in the City.
That might have been it. Well, Brenda, that's my girl. We were watching it the other night and there was a part in the bar where they were like, hey, the kids are gone and take a shot and just start talking about it and you're letting your feelings go. She was wondering if it's wrong that she felt guilty that the kids aren't around because now she finally had some time to herself. And with the moms not only having to be moms, but teachers and fashion designers and chefs and everything during the pandemic and just really life, there has to be a break. And what's your message for the moms that may be feeling just a little guilt and having time alone?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because guilt is one of the strongest feelings that mothers feel. We feel guilty about everything. Did I put the right thing in their lunch? Did I make the right decision here? Do they go to the right school? Are they on the right team? I mean, we are nonstop with second guessing ourselves and feeling guilty that maybe we didn't do the right thing. And so interestingly, during the pandemic, I did a lot of different, talks and interviews, but the one that probably got the most attention was like working mom guilt. How to let go of guilt. And that one got the biggest response. And I think people really related to that. And so what I would say about guilt is once you're clear about your values in life, right? You're clear. And we all have different values. We could all come up with 20 things and a lot would be in common, but your top 3 values are going to probably be a little different from my top 3 values, right? And so when you're clear on your top values and you make decisions based off those values, the guilt just kind of goes away. It's a lot easier to deal with. So like some moms might feel guilty during this pandemic. Should I have quit my job? Some moms feel guilty. Should I not have quit my job? There's over 1 million women who left the workforce to be full-time teachers at home with their kids, to be those caregivers. And so when you're clear about whatever your priorities are, because they're your values, it's a lot easier to deal with that nagginess. But guilt doesn't serve us. It can be a reminder that something's bothering us, but if we don't do something with it, it's actually not serving us, it's bringing us down. If it can serve as a reminder, like, oh, you're off, something's off on your values, you made a decision that wasn't right, then we can work from that. But I just always encourage people to really think about what are you actually feeling guilty about? And does it have to do with something around, providing the best? That's something that drives a lot of moms. I just want the best for my child. And I tell people, you don't have to do the best for your child all the time. They don't need the best of everything. Nobody has the best of everything. Just do your best. And I think a lot of moms just need to hear that.
You know what? You went right to where I was going to next, which is kind of with the guilt, but kind of with competing with other moms. And I put competing in quotes because, you hear keeping up with the Joneses or, well, my kid is already doing this and we're already going to go here and he's taking his first and she's doing this. And I think there is like a low key competition. And I think part of mommy burnout can be when you experience trying to keep up with other people. And you mentioned just stay focused on yourself and focus on what's right with your family. And you don't have to compete with other moms or other families out there. That's just one thing I took away from that.
It's so big competition among moms. I mean, some people will argue that like the mommy wars, that used to be a term that we used a lot more. Some people argue they're still happening. Some people will say, oh, no, it's so much better. I think the way that I see it is almost there is a mom level competition, but we are so overly invested in our kids that it's almost become now the kid competition. Like, what my kid does is a reflection of how good I am, how smart I am, or how great of decisions that I made for my kids. So it's almost like we're competing in some ways, sometimes with other women, but we've really started putting that more on our kids and making our kids this extreme focal point of our lives. And that's partly why I wrote the book, because the subtitle of it is How to Reclaim Your Life and Raise Healthier Children in the process. Like, we have to reclaim our lives back. We have to know that what we're doing right now is not working. We're getting so lost in our kids and their lives and the neighbors and, the friends of the friends. And so I just feel like this is for anybody who needs it. It's like your permission to just let that go and just focus on yourself and what your values are and what's important to you. I wish that that's my Resurrection Sunday gift for people.
Yeah, and I was just about to bring that up. You know what I mean? And take all of what you just said, add a pandemic with it. And then the crazy thing is you wrote this book before the pandemic hit. Yep. And now just to see how this can be applied and even greater for what we're all experiencing right now and helping moms across the world. You know what? Let me ask a question on behalf of the dads right quick, or the dads that want to contribute, the boyfriends, the husbands that want to contribute a little more. What can we be doing to help our ladies out? Like, you know what I mean? How can we take the stress off? What are some tips that you have for us that we can help our ladies avoid that mommy burnout?
Oh, yes. I'm so glad you asked, because I wrote a whole chapter about dads, let's just call them husband and wives, whatever, moms and dads raising kids together. And the title of it is called He Just Doesn't Get It. Right. And so I titled it that because that's how so many moms feel. He doesn't get it. He still has his body. He still has, his freedom. You still get to go to work, or you still get to do these. And women feel, oftentimes, they might not say it always, but tied down, so changed. Maybe they don't feel good about themselves anymore. Maybe, they're sad they left their career, or their work, or that they didn't get to finish their education, whatever it might be. And so that's one thing I think that men need to know is what you can do to support your wife or your partner that's just, she's become a mom, or she's been a mom. She could have teenagers. It doesn't matter. Is to say, I know I'm not you. I want to understand you. Tell me what it's like. And the number one tip I would have for men is just listen. Men always like to fix things. Let me jump in, give you 5 ideas. You got a problem, I got solutions, right? That's the norm. And women, we like to process. We like to tell you a problem, and we want to just sit with it. And maybe we want to talk about it for like a whole hour. And even though you might be sitting there going, it's so obvious to me what she should do, right? We don't want that. We want to sit and talk and have you nod your head and agree and wait for the invitation to give advice. And if you don't get the invitation, hold back. Don't say anything. And you will see how much more connected a woman will feel to you, because that's what we like. We like to talk and process and sit with things. Think about if you're having a hard time, just think about your wife or your girlfriend with her best friend. What do they do the whole time? Right?
It's talking. Yeah.
Talking and talking and more talking and talking and talking. And they're not sitting there solving the world's problems, though, or even each other's problems. Right? They're just like, oh yeah. And then, and they just go back and forth and back and forth. And they can do that all day long. And that's the way women are. But at some point, they'll look at you maybe and say, what do you think I should do? Then you have your invitation. If she doesn't say that to you, practice listening. That would be my greatest tip.
Dr. Sheryl Ziegler, the book is called Mommy Burnout. Also, because I want to touch about your website, because as I'm scrolling and as we're talking and as I just got to go through before we actually had our conversation, you have a ton of information on here, and including your podcast. They can listen to that. They can be a part of your blog. They can even take a course. Yes, we talked about the book, but also start with the talk. It says it's a one-of-a-kind course for parents and their preteen daughters navigating the social, emotional, and physical changes of puberty. And I think we can close with this, that there are moms and just, I guess, parents in general that are uncomfortable having the birds and the bees kind of talk, right? And especially with how advanced technology is and videos, and we see people doing things on national TV that just 5 years ago, we're like, whoa, how is this allowed now?
Yep. The Grammys.
Is this the right course to take if maybe you're having trouble kind of starting that uncomfortable conversation, or maybe it's uncomfortable for the parents. The kids seem to be all right with it.
Yes, usually somebody is very uncomfortable. Let me tell you, I'm so glad you brought it up because it's really one of my favorite things that I do. But the course is actually, it's like the pre-sex course. So it's really about like your changing body, breasts and your pubic hair and armpit hair, and your friends are changing and you like boys, you like girls, who do you like? It's more about that. It's like the one step right before the conversation about the birds and the bees. And I think it's so important because I'm going to tell everybody listening now, there's two big stats. Number one, 90% of 11-year-olds have, by the time they're 11, have already seen porn online, right? And by the age of 10, that's when girls' self-esteem plummets. Like we're talking 10 and 11-year-olds are critical ages. So this class is like the 9 to 13-year-old class to make sure you're the one giving them information. What do they do when they get their period? Should they use a tampon? You know, all those kinds of things. And I love it because it's actually for the mother and the daughter. And they're both hearing the same things together, and they can pause and they can talk. And then you get to be the one that gives the information. Because if not, kids are sitting online Googling things all day long. You know, we didn't even talk about screen time and how much kids are on it. So that's really why I created the course. And I did it over I've been doing it since 2013, but I made it online over the pandemic because I didn't want time to go by where I couldn't be in person and have this beautiful moment where mothers and daughters can connect and talk about all these important things.
Yeah. You know what? Just sharing mental health awareness, sharing mental health tips. And that's another reason why we wanted to have this conversation. And again, Dr. Sheryl Ziegler, the book, Mommy Burnout, is out everywhere. And the website, one more time.
It's drsherylziegler.com.
Anything that that I didn't cover that you want to put out there?
I just will say one thing, since it is, you know, Easter Sunday, or however you want it, you think of this special day. Hopefully it's just a special Sunday for everybody, but there's so much going on in our country right now, whether that's racial injustice, whether that's social injustices. And so one thing I love to share with people is maybe the spring is a great time for families to really pick something, pick a cause, pick something you're passionate about, and start getting engaged as the world slowly returns to or goes to a new normal, and really get invested in your communities. I feel like watching what's happened over the last year, it's going to be more important than ever that we invest in our communities or things that are important to us.
Crisco Kid.